And I just thought that was quite an interesting insight into how he did politics, because it's how you imagine he would, because it's how you would in the boardroom. So just be interesting to hear your comments on that.
Yeah, so first, right, and sometimes hard, sometimes I talk with different hats on, from a political, just pure number standpoint. So about 6 to a high sort of ranking would be 8% of Americans are of minority faith. Those faiths are concentrated in geographic regions. So there is a strong, sometimes electorally decisive Muslim population in Virginia, in Minnesota, in Florida, strong Jewish population in Florida and New York. But they're largely geographically concentrated. Obviously, a strong Mormon population in Utah, Arizona, Idaho. But you know, the Jewish population is about 2% or less. Muslim population is about 1.8%. Hindus, Sikh community, Buddhists, you could probably group them all together and it would be under 2%. So that's, what's interesting is that the one faith community that Hillary Clinton actually did ask for their vote was the Mormon community, because they identified a specific targeted political opportunity, and by ask for their vote, she wrote an op-ed in the Deseret News, which is the LDS paper, and they created a video that was a message directly to more. It was a really strong thing. They should have done it with Catholics and evangelicals and Muslims and across the board. So just to give you some context around so why did she approach it in this way? A few things. It's important to note religious rhetoric was not absent from her campaign, but it was clear to me, and I think clear to religious voters, that when she was quoting, you know, John Wesley, you want to do all the good you can, whenever you can, all the time, that she was, the purpose of her religious rhetoric was more to point out the moral failures of her candidate than to actually do religious, of her opponent, of Donald Trump, than to actually do religious outreach. Because structurally, organizationally, there was no there there. Or I should say very little there there. So that would be the first. And the second would be, yeah, the data folks. It was so odd. We ruthlessly mocked Mitt Romney and his folks for going into election night in 2012 thinking they had a chance to win, and the karmic rebound of that could not have been sooner. It was just the next presidential election where, you know, Donald Trump's election night party was in like a boring state ballroom of a hotel. Hillary Clinton had rented out the Javits Center with literal glass ceilings. I've never seen an election night venue like it. There was a lot of presumption and arrogance involved in that whole endeavor. There was a religious pollster who put out a book about 6 months before the election that identified the end of white Christian America. And he went around talking to progressive groups the whole time about how the demographic trends show that white Christian America wasn't a force anymore, etc., etc. I guarantee you, Democratic staffers responsible for the vote were surprised to look at the exit polls and see that 26% of the electorate was white evangelical, about 16, 17% white Catholic. And it's their job, and the exit polls were about the same as they were 4 years ago. There's just kind of a mental block. We forget how many. would give religious demographic briefings to senior staff at various roles in my time in my time in democratic politics, and still do. I'll never forget in one of them, a senior staffer who I know had seen the briefing multiple times before, when I put up the chart that showed the number in millions of evangelicals and Catholics in America, there was an audible gasp, and this staffer said out loud, "There are that many of them?" And it's like, yes, and you should know that by now. Like if you aren't thinking about the fact that the country is 75% religious, just in the way that you know to the very 100th of a percentage point what percentage of the vote in Virginia is African American, or what percentage of the vote in Florida is Hispanic, then you're missing the boat. You're not understanding the people that you're expected to serve and the campaign electorate you're supposed to appeal to correctly. So there was a bit of a religious illiteracy and sort of a blind spot. I'll just lay out one other factor, which was there were some Democrats who just didn't like that Barack Obama legitimized religious communities when they think like religion is, on the losing side of history, and that eventually everyone's going to be secular, and why are you treating these people like rational? And so there was this like, look, aren't we past having to recognize these folks? Aren't we past having to compromise and find out a way to negotiate with them? They thought, they sliced up the, President Obama, Barack Obama in 2004 went to the DNC convention, and the speech that launched him on the national stage was principally about there not being a blue America and a red America. He said, we're sick of pundits trying to slice and dice the electorate, and that's what the Democratic Party is right now. And it needs to change. It needs to change because that's not what's at the. Liberalism is about proceduralism and about pluralism. It's about the fact that we all have to live together. Liberalism has answers to 21st century problems that conservatism doesn't. Unfortunately, there are some illiberal tendencies in modern progressive movements that if we don't sort out, if we don't understand that there are some areas of life that politics should not enter into and should not make the ultimate decisions on, then we're not going to be able to win the American people's confidence, our voters' confidence, in the areas where politics and government should have a more forceful hand.